welcome back. This is Warhammer Sean, and we're here with the final part of the Space Marines Codex review for 7th edition. And we're going to finish with the detachments and formations for this army and final thoughts. So we're going to talk first about the Gladius Strike Force. That kind of includes a lot of the formations that are in this book, but it's kind of their main or big thing. Everybody's kind of comparing it to the Decurion detachment from Necrons because that was kind of the first one that was in this style for forming a big detachment. Basically, in this detachment, you can take 1 to 2 of the core groups, 0 to 3 of the command groups, and 1 plus, so basically as many as you want, of the auxiliary choices. The main core one is called a Battle Demi Company. And actually, before we start getting into the details of them, I'm just going to go through these quick just to tell you what's in the Gladius Strike Force, and then we'll go through the other ones specifically. And then the auxiliary ones are, the command ones are the Reclusium Squad, which is a chaplain and a command squad, a Librarius Conclave, which is 3 to 5 librarians, and Strike Force Command, which is one of the following: Pedro Cantor, High Marshal Halbrecht, Marnius Calgar, a captain, a chaplain, 0 to 1 Honor Guard, 0 to 1 Command Squad, 0 to 1 Emperor's Champion. So, and then the auxiliaries are the Armed Task Force, and that's 1 Tech Marine, 0 to 3 units of Thunderfire Cannons, 3 to 5 units chosen from the following: so Vindicators, Predators, Whirlwinds, and then 0 to 1 Sergeant Kronos. First Company Task Force is 3 to 5 units chosen in any combination from the following list: Terminator Squad, Terminator Assault Squad, Sternguard Veteran Squad, Vanguard Veteran Squad. So that's the task force, 3 to 5 of any of those units. The Anti-Air Defense Force is 1 unit of Hunters, 1 unit of Stalkers. And the 10th Company is 3 to 5 units chosen from the following list: Scout Squad or Scout Bike Squad, and then 0 to 1 of Sergeant Tellian. Next one is Stormwing, which is 1 Storm Raven gunship and 2 Storm Talon gunships. The Suppression Force, which is 1 Whirlwind unit and 1 unit of Land Speeders. Centurion Siegebreaker Cohort is 2 to 4 units of Centurion Assault Squads and 1 unit of Ironclad Dreadnoughts. And then the Land Raider Spearhead is 3 units chosen from the following combination from the following list: Land Raider Crusader, Land Raider Redeemer. So you can have 3 units of those. So you can technically have 9 because you could have 3 in each unit. The one thing that's kind of missing, so what you have is that the Battle Demi Company is made up of a captain or a chaplain. The captain may be Captain Sicarius, Caruso Khan, Vulcan Heston, Shadow Captain Strike, or Captain Lysander instead of a captain, and may take a chaplain Cassius or chaplain Grimaldus instead of just a regular chaplain. The chief librarian Tigerius may be taken in place of a librarian. And that's for the Librarian Conclave. So, in the Battle Demi Company, you have 1 captain or chaplain, 0 to 1 command squads, 3 tactical squads, 1 assault bike squad, attack bike squad unit of Land Speeders or Centurion Assault Squad. So you can take 1 of any of those, and then you can take 1 Centurion Devastator Squad or 1 Centurion Devastator Squad, and then 0 to 1 units of Dreadnoughts, Ironclad Dreadnoughts, or Venerable Dreadnoughts. So that's your Demi Company. The special benefits from this is that if your army contains 1 or more Gladius Strike Forces, you can enact each of the combat doctrines, Devastator, Assault, and Tactical, once per game. When each combat doctrine is enabled, all models in your army with chapter tactics rules that are part of the Gladius Strike Force are affected. Company support: if Gladius Strike Force includes 2 Battle Demi Companies, 1 including a captain and the other including a chaplain, then together they form a battle company. Any unit that forms a battle company may take that can take a Rhino, Razorback, or Drop Pod as a dedicated transport and may take that at no extra points. So basically, you get those transports for free. You do have to pay for additional upgrades as normal, though. So if you take this, you have to take the one core choice and at least one auxiliary choice. It's interesting. Let's go to the Battle Demi Company and kind of do them separate as far as the different formations. So the Battle Demi Company, the special rules is a unit marked with a special rule have controls objective markers even if basically there's another scoring unit, unless they also have objective secured. So basically everybody in the Demi Company are objective secured. That's incredibly important because that means that your assault squad or bike squad or attack bike squad, they're all objective secured. The tactical squads are all objective secured. The command squad is, the captain is, or the chaplain is. The dreadnought is. Their pod that they come in on, or vehicles that other things are. The Centurion Devastator squad, the Devastator squad are all basically objective secured. That's pretty huge. Most other codices, when they've had special formations or detachments, they lose the objective secured special rule, which comes in a normal CAD, and they have some other special rules with it. For instance, like the Dicurian detachment gets relentless and ignores crew shake and crew stun results, but they don't have objective secured. This is pretty huge, getting objective secured. And if you take two Battle Demi Companies, so they become a company, now you're getting all of your vehicles for free. It's pretty big. It's really big. Let's just say it. The next formation is the Anti-Air Defense Force. So if a hunter from this formation causes a hit on an enemy flyer or flying monstrous creature when firing its Sky Spear missile launchers, all stalkers in this formation add 1 to the ballistic skill until the end of the phase when firing at the same target. So the unit must consist of at least 2 models, unit of stalkers. So basically you have to take 2 stalkers and a unit of hunters. So you can have up to 3 hunters and up to 3 stalkers in each unit, but you have to take at least 2 stalkers if you're taking this defense force. It's a decent one. Now, once again, I think there's a lot of options for air defense with flyers already, so I don't know how much you're going to see this, and it also depends on your local meta. So think about that. I'm giving advice here, but I'm trying to include that. Think about your local gaming group and your local meta. If you don't see these things, and I'm giving advice on, oh, this is good anti-air, if you don't have a lot of flyers in your local meta, I wouldn't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Or if you're bringing a lot of flyers already, you probably don't have to worry about it. So, it just building an army list, one takes practice and time and experience, and you have to think about who you're normally facing in your normal group. Now, when you go to a big event like Adepticon or LVO or BAO or Nova, those are big events, and so you don't always know who you're going to be facing or what armies you're going to be facing because it's such a large group of people that you're going to see lots of things. So you kind of have to be ready to take on everybody, or what's called an all-comers list. But when you're playing in your local group, even in a local tournament, most of the people that play there, and so you can kind of build your list to exclude things or include things that you are likely going to be facing or that you're not going to be facing, so you don't have to worry about it. Our local group right now, we have a few people that play Tau, myself included, but we haven't played it in a long time. And there's one guy that consistently plays Tau. So we know when we're going to go to a tournament, we're going to be facing at least one Tau player. And so that kind of scares a lot of the flyers away in our group because we know we're going to usually have people that can deal with flyers. But in some groups, there's lots of flyers, and so having things to take it down are good. In our local group, people don't concentrate on it as much because most people don't bring them. So the next formation is the First Company Task Force, and that is 3 to 5 units chosen in any combination from the following list. So Terminator squads, Terminator assault squads, Sturgeon Guard veteran squads, Vanguard veteran squads. They are fearless, and they have the Fear special rule. That's big. Fear, not as much. It seems like everything's getting Fearless nowadays, though, but Fearless is pretty big, especially for like things like Terminators or Stern Guard squads. At the start of the game, before deployment, nominate one enemy unit, and this formation is preferred enemy against attacks made against that unit. Terrifying Presence. Enemy units subtract 2 from their leadership test while they are within 12 inches of at least 3 units from this formation. So if you're within 3 units, and that's 12 inches, let's say you're dropping in drop pods, that's pretty big. And especially, technically, units, if you're dropping drop pods, those units in quotes, you have a drop pod, let's say, with Stern Guard, and there's 2 Stern Guard that drop close to each other. Well, technically there's more than 2 because those drop pods are a unit. So you basically cause fear as a drop pod. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's possible. Basically you're going to only have to have 2 of those units because those 2 drop pods are there too, and so you're going to be -2 on the leadership, which might be really good if you drop in, let's say, and shoot enough to cause an LD check. When you got somebody at leadership 8, which isn't uncommon, or 6, and it goes down by 2, so let's say it's 4 or 6, they fail a morale test and go running off the board. Now you just killed a unit. It's a pretty good rule, in my opinion. I'm personally, for Space Marines, my first army was Crimson Fists and Pedro Cantor, and so I really like Stern Guard squads because Pedro makes them scoring units. And so I'm excited to use Stern Guard to their effect just because I think they're fun. They're expensive, but I like them. Next formation is Strike Force Ultra. So that is 1 Captain, 2 Terminator squads, 2 Terminator Assault squads, 1 Venerable Dreadnought, 1 Storm Raven gunship, 1 Land Raider Crusader or Redeemer, and 1 Captain Lysander may be taken in place of the Captain. Captain must be equipped with Terminator armor, but during deployment, all units from this formation, other than transport vehicles, must either be embarked on a transport vehicle from this formation or placed in Deep Strike Reserve. Ultra Strike. All units in this formation must be placed in reserve. Make reserve rolls for all units from this formation at the start of your first turn. Make reserve rolls as normal for any units from this formation that do not arrive in your first turn. So if they basically every unit in here can come down turn 1. And when a Terminator squad from this formation arrives via Deep Strike or disembarks from a transport from this formation for the first time, all ranged weapons carried by models in the unit add +1 to the number of shots that can be made until the end of the turn. So basically when they come down or they first get out of the transport, they get an extra shot. Force of Thunderbolt. When a Terminator Assault squad from this formation disembarks from the transport vehicle from this formation for the first time, all models in the unit add +1 to their attacks until the end of the turn. So that gives a little bonus. They come out of their Land Raider and in charge, they get an extra attack. Now, one thing that should be noted that I noticed in here is it is not this Strike Force Ultra is not included in the Gladius Strike Force. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's not. I don't know if that's a mistake or if they meant to leave it out of the Gladius Strike Force. It could be it's another formation. It's not part of the Gladius Strike Force. Although it would be odd because all the new codices that have come out, all of the formations they've had in the book have all been part of their main detachment force. So I'd be surprised if this wasn't to be included with the Gladius. But we're going to have to wait till a fact comes out because right now it is not included. The Reclusium Command Squad. 1 chaplain and 1 command squad. Chaplain Cassius may be taken instead of the chaplain. They have the Crusader special rule and Stirring Rhetoric. All friendly units with Space Marine faction within 6 inches of the chaplain from this formation reroll fail to hit rolls during the first round of each close combat. It's almost like him giving them Zealot, well, except minus the Fearless. But so it's good. I don't think you're going to see it that much, though, honestly. The next one is a 10th Company Task Force. Now, this one I think you're going to see a lot because Scouts got a lot better in this edition because their stats went up for the same price, staying the same price. 3 to 5 units in any combination, so you can take Scout Bikes squad or a Scout squad, and 0 to 1 Sergeantalian. Concealed position. Each unit from this formation that deploys using the infiltrate rule does not have stealth special rule is concealed. A concealed unit has the stealth special rule until it moves, runs, turbo boosts, charges, or falls back, at which point it immediately loses the stealth special rule for the rest of the battle. During the first game turn, all units from this formation have precision shot special rule. It's pretty big too. Since Scouts are good and better, and you're going to be having people take the double demi company to get free vehicles and upgrades, I think you're going to see the Scout squad, to be honest with you. Or the Scout company task force. Talian's really good too, and he's cheap. 50 points for an HQ. Stormwing. This one is 1 Storm Raven gunship and 2 Storm Talon gunships. The special rules are data lattice. As long as 1 Storm Talon from this formation has not been completely destroyed, the formation's Storm Raven gunship has a strafing run special rule, which is good. Escort craft, when making reserve rolls, make a single roll for this entire formation. On successful reserve roll, all of the units in this formation arrive from reserve. It's cool. Centurion Siegebreaker Cohort, 2 to 4 Centurion Assault Squads, 1 unit of Ironclad Dreadnought. Demolition Specialist, units from this formation which contain a model with an omniscope, re-roll failed armor penetration rolls against a building, and can choose to re-roll glancing hits in an attempt to instead get a penetrating hit, but the second roll must be kept. Seismic Devastation. If a building or transport vehicle loses its last hull point as a result of attacks made in assault phase by models in this formation, any unit embarked in the building or vehicle immediately suffers 2d6 strength 6 AP4 hits that ignore cover special rule. These wounds are randomly allocated and are in addition to any hits suffered that they would normally suffer. So if it was an explosion, you still get that. That's powerful. I honestly don't think you're going to see this very often. You don't tend, at least in my local meta, you don't tend to see a lot of fortifications. And honestly, 2 to 4 Centurion Assault Squads is expensive, and I just don't think they're that great. My opinion. Land Raider Spearhead. 3 units chosen from Land Raider Crusader, or Land Raider Redeemer. Armored Behemoth special rule, the formation, ignore crew shaken, crew stunned, weapon destroyed, and immobilized results on vehicles on the table as long as they're within 6 inches of another model from this formation when the roll is made. So it's kind of like making him a super heavy to some extent. So they're not going to lose weapons and stuff. They're just going to lose hull points. Even the mightiest shall fall. Models in this formation can reroll to wound rolls or armor penetration roll when shooting at a gargantuan creature, super heavy vehicles, or buildings that have the mighty bulwark special roll. Yeah, it's pretty cool. 3 Land Raiders and potentially more is really pricey, and it's a pretty expensive formation. You may see it if people are going to run Terminators or want a lot of protection, but honestly, you don't tend to see in competitive play right now more than 1 Land Raider, to be honest, and Land Raiders aren't that common, just because so much stuff now has the ability to deal with super heavy vehicles or gargantuan creatures. And if they're able to deal with those, they can deal with your Land Raider and maybe get a lucky shot and just explode it. And this formation doesn't ignore the explosion result. So if you get an explosion, you're still going to lose a vehicle. And it's expensive for a one-shot to kill it. So, harsh reality of 7th edition, but I just don't think that Land Raiders are all that in a bag of chips. I think they're good to protect some stuff, and I certainly use them and still use them. I just don't use them that often, and I don't usually use more than 1. Librarius Conclave. 3 to 5 librarians. You can include Tigurius in here. Empiric Channeling. At the start of the psychic phase, you can nominate 1 librarian from this formation. If you do so, the nominated librarian has access to any psychic power known by other librarians from this formation within 12 inches until the end of the phase. However, other librarians from this formation within 12 inches of the nominated librarian cannot manifest psychic powers until the end of the phase. Furthermore, when the nominated librarian makes psychic tests this phase, he will harness warp charges on a 3+ rather than a 4+. If there is one other librarian from this formation within 12 inches, then a 2+ rather than a 4+. If there are 2 or more librarians from this formation. Let's see. Oh, sorry. He harnesses. I read that wrong. He harnesses the warp charge on a 3+ instead of a 4+ if there's one other librarian within 12 inches, and then he harnesses on a 2+ rather than a 4+ if there are 2 or more librarians from this formation within each other. Sorry about that. So basically, if there's guys close, they're giving up their ability to cast powers, and somebody else can, the other guy can use it. Now, depending on your local group and your local meta, some people, there's no rules in the book, and so it's the way we've kind of factored it. But if you have the warp charge points to spend, and you have the knowledge or powers to use, you can expend more or generate more powers than you are level-wise. So let's say you're a level 2 librarian. If you have the charge and if you have the spells, which in this case, you would know all of the psychic powers from everybody that's within 12 inches of you, you're basically going to be able to cast everybody's powers, even your bros that aren't using it, in that phase. Now, some groups say you can only cast or psychically produce any powers equal to your level. So if you're level 1, you only get to do 1 power. Level 2, only 2 powers. So it depends on your local group. You'll have to ask or see how everybody thinks about it. But I still think this Librarius Conclave will be good. It's even better than the Seer Council that gets it on 3-up. But they have to give up, casting. Armored Task Force. This is 1 Tech Marine, 0 to 3 Thunderfire Cannons, 3 to 5 units in any combination of Vindicators, Predators, or Whirlwinds, and 0 to 1 Sergeant Cronus. Vehicles from this formation ignore the effects of Crew Shake and Crew Stun while they're within 6 inches of a Tech Marine or Tech Marine Gunner from this formation. The Will of the Omnissiah, Tech Marine, and Tech Marine Gunners from this formation have +1 bonus when making Blessings of the Omnissiah rolls for repair from this formation. So they can repair easier, and you ignore Crew Shake and Crew Stun results. Pretty good effect. You could take 3 units of Whirlwinds, and if you have 1 Tech Marine, you don't even have to have any Thunderfire Cannons, but honestly, you probably want them. They're going to be able to ignore Crew Shake and Crew Stun. And let's face it, in the back, with these guys with Whirlwinds, they're going to be sitting in the back, staying out of line of sight. So are the Thunderfire Cannons. Basically, you are going to just hide back there and keep yourselves protected. It's not a bad unit. I don't know if you're not going to necessarily see it a ton, but it's a beneficial unit. Especially if you're going to run both of these things. Are you going to see a lot of Predators? Probably not. Vindicators, I don't know how much they're going to really benefit from this formation, because most of the time they're going to be charging forward. And so your Tech Marine could run up with it, maybe. But your Tech Marine crew with the gunner from the Thunderfire isn't moving anywhere. Otherwise, he's not firing. So I don't think he's going to be sticking around with that Vindicator, because most of the time the Vindicator is only got a 24-inch range. He's going to have to move throughout the game. So Suppression Force formation is 1 unit of Whirlwinds and 1 unit of Land Speeders. 1 Landed Speeder from this formation can nominate an enemy within 18 inches and line of sight in the shooting phase. It cannot do this in the same phase it is moved flat out. Until the end of the phase, all shooting attacks made from the Whirlwind, multiple missile launchers by models in this formation against nominated can reroll the hit, and are treated as having an infinite range. It's pretty cool. I think that's useful, to be honest. And I think, yep, that is it. What are my final thoughts for the Space Marine Codex? I've thought about this a while before I commented on it. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's going to help see more Space Marines on the table. I'm a little, and I don't want a lot of rage or people being upset about this. But I'm just going to say it. I don't mind, like, with the Cult Mechanicus, with their special formation they got in the White Dwarf, if you take, like some Skitarii and an Imperial Knight with them, all of their upgrades are free. And that's a little bit like, oh wow, that's, kind of powerful, but whatever, you can deal with it. But it's still pretty powerful. And with the Eldar Guardians, with the Eldar kind of Decurion detachment, the Guardians, if you run the Guardian base formation or the Storm Guardians, they get like their special weapons free and some power weapons free with the Storm Guardians, and with the regular Guardians you get one heavy weapon like platform for free. And even that's like, it's, people would potentially bitch about it. The problem is that both of those attachments aren't that great. Most people are taking the jet bikes, and so you're not probably going to see it that often. And Guardians aren't that super great, so it's like, okay, whatever, free stuff, trying to get people to play some of the stuff that's not so great. But then you get your two demi companies together, and you're getting a lot of free vehicles, which people are going to be running that detachment, most likely. I have a little bit of a problem with so many vehicles, just because a fellow gamer and myself, actually a couple of us, and one of them, Dr. Z, who does the show with me, which we should be doing another one soon, have added up, and you can get quite a few, depending on anywhere from 1850 to 2,000 point army list. You can get anywhere from like 300 points to 550 points of free vehicles in your army because of it. Now, they're also going to be objective secured because they're part of that detachment, the demi company, and that objective secured comes with that. That's really powerful. Is it broken? I don't know. I think time will tell. I was initially upset just because I thought that was a lot of free stuff, and people are arguing, well, you're not seeing the Razorback now because it's so weak, and now if you're getting it for free, you're going to see it more. Potentially true, but the hard thing is about that is that when you have that much more points versus your opponent, can they deal with that many extra points to still have a fair game? I don't know. I think the question's still out there. There's rumors that the Dark Angels are going to get something similar. So I don't know. I'm a little disappointed that GW did that. There's another formation that was, you had to buy the like $400 package deal online where you got a couple Devastator units and a couple Assault Squad units and then drop pods. And how it worked is the Assault or the Devastator squads came down. They were relentless, so they got to shoot normally. And anything that got hit, the unit had to take a pinning check or a morale check, and if they failed it, they were pinned. If they didn't fail it, they couldn't overwatch the assault squad that attacked them that turn, so they were still hurt. And the assault squad, when it comes down on their jetpacks, can assault the same turn it comes down. Anything that got shot by the Devastator squad. That's a pretty big one. It's a pretty stupid one, if you ask me. The reason why I have a problem with that is that I don't mind if you're going to have special rules that aren't in the book. I mean, I prefer that they were in the book that you sell, because the book already isn't necessarily cheap. But if you're going to sell it, maybe sell a data slate or something for like, $3-5, maybe $12 at the most. But when you make somebody buy a $400 package deal and there's a limited number of them, you're limiting the number of people that can run that formation. So it's kind of not fair that some people will have access to it and other people won't. So I have a little bit of a problem with that special formation from GW's site. I'm a little disappointed in GW for doing that, to be honest with you. I don't like that. Maybe it'll come out on a data slate and then everybody has access to it, which I feel would be a little bit more fair. It's still pretty harsh when nobody else in any of the 7th edition codices can assault out of Deep Strike, and when you got one unit that can. People's argument are that assault squads aren't that good. Potentially true, but if you run a 10-man squad and you could potentially have a Power Fist and potentially 2 other Power Fists, or the equivalent of it, they're Eviscerators, that's going to kill a lot of things, and whatever you shoot at with your Devastators, I mean, it's pretty decimating to an army that starts on the table, and these people have first turn and they come down and do this. So I don't necessarily agree that it's assault squads are so terrible that they aren't going to change the game much. I still think that could. Getting the free vehicles and the 2 demi companies I have a little bit of a problem with too, just because I worry that many free points is going to offset your opponent with how many points that they have. Time will tell. I don't know for sure. I'm just a little disappointed that GW did both of those things. I think that was a little janky in the rules. I mean, maybe all free vehicle or a couple, but having so many, it just seems like so many points. I don't know. It just seems a little bit unfair, potentially. My opinion. That's my final thoughts. I do think that the Codex Space Marines is a good codex. I think it's powerful. I think it's going to be top tier. I think you're going to see it. The problem I have are a couple of detachments or formations. I think the special rules for that, especially the free vehicles and the assaulting out of Deep Strike, I just think it's a little unfair unless more codices are going to have access to it. But that's my opinion. Who knows? I don't know for sure how it's going to happen. I'm trying very hard not to be bitter about it. I was at first a little upset about it. But we'll see. I think time will tell. Maybe it won't mean anything. Maybe it won't hurt or make a difference. But we'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this series of reviews for the Codex Space Marines. I'll be doing the next one when the next one comes out, which I'm assuming is going to be Dark Angels. Until next time, keep on wargaming and take care, guys, okay?
Goodbye. 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 Bye-bye. Goodbye. See ya. Bye for now. Bye for now. Goodbye. I like bottoms.